All right, guys, the last part of our lesson for today, our thinking section. My boards have seen better days, but we'll try our best to clean them up this weekend. Okay, so step one of our thinking section is going to be looking at fractions. What if we're given a pattern of numbers that are fractions? So we have 1/2, 3/7, 5/12, and let's say 7/19. Okay. The worst mistake that you can make is that you can try to figure out what fraction is it growing by, because to treat it as a full fraction is the wrong step here. So what I want you to think about is the following. We're going to be treating the numerators as one pattern rule and the denominators as a separate pattern rule. So let's do that right now. So we're going to take these numerators and we're going to create a chart. So term number and term value. So we have 4 numbers in our chart. The first number is 1, the second number is 3, third number is 5, right? I'm just taking the numerators right now, and the fourth number is 7. I'm going to look at what is the growing pattern here, because it is growing. And I noticed that it's growing by 2, by 2, and by 2. So I'm going to take that number 2 and I'm going to create my 2n. Well, that is not pretty looking 2. I'm going to erase that. I don't like that look. Sorry, guys. Ew, look what I did to my board. I need Allison Martin right now to clean this board. 2n. So now I got to test it. So I could go and do the pattern 0, but for this sake, I'm just going to do it this way. 2 times 1 should give me 1. 2 equals 1. Okay, so it's not going to give me 1. So I've got to go backwards. I'm taking away 1. So I know that the pattern rule is 2n minus 1. I'm going to take this pattern rule and I'm going to create a fraction line here. And I'm going to put that pattern rule on top. 2n minus 1. Apparently I didn't need this entire line. And now we got to do the exact same thing that we did there with the denominators. So let's do the exact same thing that we did with the denominators. So we're going to create our chart. Term number, term value. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're looking at the denominators. So 2, 7, 12, 19. This one's growing not by 2. This one's growing by, it looks like 5. Right? Plus 5, plus 5. Again, I could go and look at term 0 if I really wanted to. I'm not going to in this case. I'm just going to solve it in the same way. So I'm looking at 5n. So I'm going to do 5 times 1 equals 2. 5 equals 2. Nope. So I've got to subtract. Oh, you can't even see. I've got to subtract 3, which if I had done this and I had subtracted 5, I would have got -3 anyway. So 5n minus 3. I'm going to take that 5n minus 3 and I'm going to put it here. And this is the pattern rule for the fractions. So let's say that I was given, I wanted to know what the 13th number in this pattern was. So I wanted to know what the 13th, oh, I can't even see that. I wanted to know what the 13th term is. You would have to put the 13 into both of the variables, okay? So we will do that. So we'll say 2 times 13 minus 1 and 5 times 13 minus 3. Whoops. So our next line would look 2 times 13 is 26 minus 1 over 5 times 13 is 65 minus 3. So our final fraction would be 25 over 62. And there you go at the bottom. Okay, so the reason that this is a thinking question is most people will attack it like it's, okay, how did I get from 1/2 to 3/7? How did I get from 3/7 to 5/12? You're looking at them individually. So making sure that when you are given that on a show what you know or on any future stuff that you're approaching it as numerators separately than denominators. Let's do another one. Okay, this one is definitely a thinking question. I took this one from the grade 9 textbook. So you're given the following. So I'm going to create the chart here. term number, term value. You're told, just gonna fill this out quickly, 7. You're told that the third number in this term, in this value chart, is 7. And the 7th number is 15. And that's all you're given. And you're asked to find 2 things. You're asked to find the pattern rule. And then you're asked to find the 17th term. So how do we do that? Okay, so it is a complicated thing if you think about it in the way that, okay, how am I figuring this out? But I want you to look at it as a grander scheme. So you're going to ask yourself, how do I get from 7 to 15? Well, I'm adding 8. Okay, that step's done. How many numbers are between the 7 and the 15? So there's 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 4 numbers. So I'm going to take this 8 and I'm going to divide it by 4. And that gives me 2. So actually, what is the pattern growth is +2. So once I find out that it's +2, I can fill in the rest of my chart. I can go backwards and say 5 and 3. I can go forwards and say 9, 11, 13, and 15. So I've been able to fill that out by looking at, okay, what was the array, the amount between the 2 numbers that I was given, and then after the first number I was given, how many numbers were there, and divided by that to get 2. So if I know that it's going up by +2, I still have to write the pattern rule. So I know it's 2n, and in this case I'm going to do term 0, so I'm going to work backwards. -2 = 1. So it would be 2n minus 1. Now, I always, as a math person who struggled in math earlier on in life, I always want to double check it. So I'm going to do 2, I'm going to do the 7th one. 2 times 7 minus 1 should equal 15. Oh, sorry, it's +1. What am I doing? It's a positive. Sorry guys, see, this is why I checked it, right? I would have made the mistake. 2 times 7 is 14 plus 1 equals 15, and 15 equals 15. Once I have the pattern rule, right, once I've got this, the second part is much simpler, right? All I'm doing is inputting it now. So 2 times 17 plus 1, and oops, 2 times 17 is 34 plus 1. 34 plus 1 is 35. So the 17th term is therefore 35. All right. So again, let's do one where you guys now have to try to figure it out. So I'm going to give you the chart. So the term number. You can do this on your own, term value. I'm going to give you the, I'm going to make it a little bit easier on you. There's 3 terms in this. The first term is 7, and the third term is 15. The increase is equal between this and between this. They're all equal, okay? Pause, try to figure it out. Tell me what I only want to know what the pattern rule is. Okay, go. So you're back, and let's look at this together. So we talked about it before. You're going to look at what is the amount between here and here. Well, it's 8. Okay. And then you were supposed to find out, okay, how many numbers are after the first number? 1, 2. So I'm going to divide it by 2, which would give me 4. So that means that it's increasing by 4. So what's the rest of the chart? This is going to be 11. So if this is increasing by 4, then you know that your pattern rule should start with 4n. And then you have to work, you can either work the backwards way and looking at term 0, or we'll do it for everybody's sake, we'll just do it anyway. So 4 times 1 should equal 7. 4 equals 7, so I need to add 3. If I had done this way, if I had subtracted 4, because I was going up by 4, I would have gotten 3 here. So my code is 4n plus 3. Okay, hopefully you got this. If you didn't, again, look at the steps that we did. We've got one more that we're going to do for our thinking section, just to kind of end it up. Look at this board, horrible. Do we have a nice one? No, wow, that's the best one. Not good. I'm gonna have to clean them. Okay, so here's the chart. So this is gonna be a 3-step process here. So here's the chart. We've got 3 numbers that we're gonna be using, 1, 2, and 3. And it's gonna be 8, 11, and 14. So step 1, I wanna find out the following. I wanna find out A, what the pattern rule is, or the nth term. B, I want to find out what the 80th figure number is, so the 80th term number. And C, I want to figure out which term number would give a term value of 41, okay? And this is the last step that we haven't talked about yet, so we're going to do that now. So let's figure out the pattern rule first, the easiest part. Let's go through it. We're increasing by, losing markers as we speak. I'm gonna have to go back to school and break in. I gotta increase by 3 and increase by 3. So it's 3n. For the sake of us doing this, we're gonna find term 0. So I'm gonna subtract by 3 because I'm adding by 3. I'm gonna go backwards by 3. So I know that my constant that I'm gonna add is 5. So my pattern rule is 3n plus 5. For my 80th figure, I need to input 80. So 3 times 80 plus 5. 3 times 80 is 240 plus 5. And then my 80th figure is 245. This part is the one we haven't talked about yet. Which term number would give you 41? So in this one, we're going to bring it all the way up here. I know that my answer is going to be 41. Oh my goodness, can't even see it. Let me just move some of the stuff out of the way. Sorry, guys. There we go. So I know that my answer is going to be 41. I'm going to input my, oh my goodness, why did I put it all the way back there? I'm going to input my term rule into this. So 3n plus 5 should equal 41. So now I've got an algebraic equation. Now, guys, the nice thing about this is that if you looked at it right now, you should be able to know, based on everything we've done this year, what to do next. That's right, Edith, isolate the variable. So I'm going to isolate it. So 3n equals 41. Now I'm going to take this plus 5. I'm going to bring him over to the dark side, and he's going to become a negative 5. So I'm left with 3n equals 36. Not done. Got to isolate it again. 3n, I got to get rid of that 3. So I'm left with n equals 12. This 12 tells me what? Well, it tells me which term number. So if I went into my chart, the 12th number on this side would give me 41 on this side. So the 12th term is going to be the answer for this. Okay, please finish the exit card and be honest with your reflection on this. Again, I don't want to jump ahead too quickly without feeling like everybody's in a safe spot, because this is a big concept in the unit, and especially going into next year. So if you're unsure, if you're unclear, we can do some more stuff. There's a couple of questions that I'd like you to complete, but thank you for staying with me for what was a longer lesson, but I know that we needed to take the time to do it. Okay, see you guys.